The campus library was unusually quiet that evening. A row of wooden tables stretched across the hall, lamps glowing softly above his seat. Students were staged here and there, flipping thought textbooks, typing on laptops, whispering to each other about something, assignments due in morning. One night on the table, Tiang sat with his chips dropped on his palm, eyes trading back and forth over the note spread before him. He was supposed to be overwhelmed by his guest from sitting across the room. He was the couch in the room over a pool of book. Cornered his lips, Professor Chen Jungkook, his lips, lowering his head quickly as if he had been cursed. Jungkook wasn't even looking at him. Of course, he was busy flipping thought, thick art, history, reference, making neat notes in the yet every time Taehyung saw him, his heart tightened in a way he couldn't explain. Jimin leaned over, nudging Taehyung with a knowing grin. Jimin, you are studying again? Taehyung hesitated. I wasn't. Hobie settled on Taehyung's other side. Softly, Hobie, please Tae. If you look at your textbook the way you look at Professor Jeon, you'll be top of the class by now. Taehyung eyes flushed pink. He shut his notebook dramatically and whispered, try to not draw attention. Taehyung, keep your mouth down. What if he hear you? Jimin teasing, oh, what if he does? Maybe he'll finally notice the way your younger eyes spark them. Watch him. Taehyung, Jimina. They both laughed quietly, hearing a glance from the person before Hobie softened his tone. Hobie, we are just saying it's obvious you admire him. Don't be so scared of your own feeling. Taehyung mumbling, it's not that simple. He is my professor. The weight of those words lingered. Taehyung knew the boundaries wall student and teachers to were separated by rules, and yet his heart didn't seem to understand boundaries at all. Meanwhile, at the slab, Jungkook slid another book into place. He couldn't hear faint laughter drifted from the table where Taehyung sat with his friend. Without meaning to, his eyes flickered up. There he was, Kim Taehyung, one of his brightest students, wild brown eyes, messy hair that always seems to fall into his face, and a voice that craved warmly every time. There was a dangerous, he was a professor, he couldn't even allow his thought to wander this way, but they did. Every time Taehyung raised his hand in class, every time his gaze lingered a little too long. Later that night, as the library emptied, Taehyung gathered his book. Jimin and Hobie had already left to grab late-night snacks, leaving him alone to finish an easy draft. He bent down to pick his bag when a shadow fell across the table. Jungkook quietly, you still walking? Taehyung's heart jumped. He looked up to see Jungkook standing there holding a stick of book against his chest. Taehyung nervously, um, uh, Yes, Professor. Just finishing an outline. Jungkook smiled faintly. Good. You've been doing well in class. Keep it up. Taeyang nodded, quickly gripping his pen tighter. He wanted to say more, wanted to ask more about the books Jungkook was holding, wanted to hear his voice longer, but the words tangled on his tongue. Thank you. Jungkook hesitated for a moment, then gave a short nod, before walking past him. As he left, young eyes followed him again, soft and looking. The next morning, the classroom buzzed with chit-chat, Jungkook walking in crisp white shirt, tucked neatly, glasses pressed on his nose. The room quieted instantly. He had that effect on people. He began the lecture straight across the board as he explained the influence of residence art on modern design. They tried to focus, scribe note, but every word Jungkook spoke seems to echo in his mind. At one point, Jungkook turned towards class asking a question. Jungkook, can anyone explain how perspective changed the way artists respond to space? There was silence, then Taeyang raised his hand slowly. Taeyang's steady voice. It allowed to feel more alive, as if the viewer could step into the space. It wasn't just about accuracy, but about drawing people closer. Jungkook paused, eyes looking with Taeyang for a moment longer than necessary. A small, approving smile tugged at his lips. Jungkook, exactly, well said. Taeyang's chest fluttered. The prize was simple, but coming from Jungkook, it felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. That evening, Jungkook sat in his office, stacks of assignments spread up before him. His college and old friend Jin leaned casually against the desk, sipping coffee. Jin, you've been quieter than usual. Something on your mind? Jungkook without looking up. Just work. Jin teasing work. Or maybe a certain student? Jungkook stiffened, pen halting. Jungkook. Jin. Jin grinned. I know it. You don't fool me. You look at him differently. Jungkook sighed, pitching the bridge of his nose. Jungkook, It's not like that. I can't. He's my student, Jin. I didn't say you should. I just say you do. Silence hung heavy between them. Jungkook hated how true Jin word felt. Across town, Taeyang sat at the kitchen table with his parents. His father was reading the newspaper while his mother sat streaming of soup. Mother, how are your class again, Taeyang? Taeyang smiled softly. I'm good. Professor Jian is doing good, Mom. Father rising an eyebrow. Inspiring. Taeyang quickly. His way of teaching, he made me everything feel important. His parents exchanged a glance but said nothing. Taeyang lowered his gaze, stirring his soup slowly. Heart still full from the memory of Jungkook's approving smile earlier that day. They passed like this, unspoken glance, fleeting moment, words left unsaid. One late afternoon, Taeyang stayed behind after class, gathering his thoughts slowly. Jungkook was erasing the board when Taehyung was break the silence. Taehyung, Professor? Jungkook turned surprised. Yes. Taehyung hesitated. I just wanted to say thanks for all encouraging it. It made learning feel different. For a moment, Jungkook's expression softened completely. Jungkook quietly, you don't need to thank me, Taehyung. You already carry that passion yourself. The air grew heavy. Taehyung's heart pounded. Word stuck in his throat. Jungkook looked as if he wanted to say more, but instead he cleared his throat, turning back to his desk. Jungkook, you should go. It's late. Taehyung nodded. Gathering his bag. As he walked out, he glanced back one more, catching Jungkook watching him with an unspoken expression, and just like that, another movement slipped into silence. That night, Jacob sat alone in his apartment, staring at the city lights outside his window. His phone buzzed with a message from Yoongi, his long-time friend. Yoongi, don't forget our meeting tomorrow. And Jungkook, remember, you can't afford distraction, not in your position. Jungkook signed, tossing his phone aside. Description, that's what they call it. But this didn't feel like a distraction, it felt like gravity. Meanwhile, Taehyung lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Jimin's teaching was ego in his mind. Hobby gently was expecting like a whisper. Hobby was in his memory. Don't be scared of your own feelings. Taehyung closed his eyes, heart edging with the weight of unspoken words. The first snow of winter fell that night, soft and quiet, covering the campus in white. Two souls lay awake in different parts of the city, both thinking of the same impossible thing, both holding back that their heart wanted to say, and so their story began. Next morning, after a snowfall, the campus looked like something out of a painting. Trees were powders, white footsteps softly on the path, and students walked with screws pulled high, their breath forming small clouds in the cold air. Taehyung walked slowly, hugging his book to his chest, his eyes falling. The snowflake still drifted down, light as feather. He thought about last night, about the way Professor Jungkook had looked at him when he left the classroom. There had been something in those eyes, something that made his heart twist. Behind him, Jimin judging up, scarf flapping in the wind. Jimin, Tae, wake up. Taehyung smiled faintly. Morning, Jimin. Jimin panting. Morning. You look like you didn't sleep at all. Don't tell me you stay up thinking about. Taehyung quickly nudged him with his elbow, cheeks warming. Taehyung, shh, don't. Not so loud. Jimin grinned. I know it. Snow outside, love stuck Tae inside. Before Taehyung could protest again, Hobby joined them, balancing a coffee cup in each hand. Hobby, I don't even need to guess what two are talking about. Jimin snagging. Our Tae has it paid. Tehang pulling his scarf higher to hide his face. Then, you two are impossible. Later in class, Tehang found himself seated near the window watching the snow rather than the board. Jungkook stood at the front, voice calm and steady as he explained brush using in impressed art, but Tehang thought kept drifted. His pencil barely moved across the page. At one point, Jungkook turned from the board. His gaze swept across the student before landing just for a second on Tehang. Their eyes met, and Tehang's heart Jungkook looked away quickly, continued his lecture without missing a beat, but the speak of that moment lingered. That evening, Jungkook stayed late in his office. Paper lay unfinished on his desk, but his focus was somewhere else. He leaned back in his chair, staring at the faint reflection of snowfalls against the window. A knock interrupted his thought. Jin poked his hand in, carrying 2 cups of tea. Jin is still here? You are frozen in this office, Jungkook sighed. That's always more work, Jin sitting down. Or maybe you are avoiding something that isn't work. Jungkook jaw tightened. Jin gently. I'm not judging you, but I can see it. You care about him. Silence. Jungkook looked down at his hands, unable to deny it. Jungkook quietly, it's wrong. Jin, maybe, or maybe it's just complicated. But pretending don't feel it that would only make it heavier. Jungkook didn't answer. He just stared at the snow falling outside, wondering how much longer he could keep his silence. The next week, Tehang was assigned a group project as fate would have it. His group had trouble finding time to meet, leaving him with most of the work. Jungkook noticed after class he stopped at Tehang as the others left. Tehang winked nervously. Yes, Professor? Jungkook, you've been taken on too much for this project. That isn't fair. Tehang shrugged softly. I don't mind it. I like working on it. Jungkook, even so, don't let yourself be burned. Balance matter. Tehang nodded, touching by his concern. But as he gathered his book, his hand brushed Jungkook on the desk, both frozen. The contract was brief, almost nothing, but it seems warm rushing up Tehang's arm. He pulled back quickly. Jungkook's expression was unbearable, and his eyes lingered a moment longer than they should have. Jungkook cleared throat. Take care of yourself, Tehang. Tehang whispered softly, yes, before hurrying out, heart racing. That night, Tehang sat in his room with Jimin and Hobie on the floor. His textbook lay open, half finished, drawing settled across the page. Jimin eyeing him. You are distracted again. Hobie, something happened, didn't it? Tehang hesitated. It's nothing, just he told me to take care of myself. The room fell quiet. Jimin sat up straight. Jimin, that's not nothing. That concern, that's something. Hobby softly, how do you feel, Ted? Tehang close his slowly. Tehang, I don't know. Happy, nervous, like my chest is too full. His friend exchanged a look. Hobby reached out, excusing Tehang's shoulders. Hobby, don't be afraid of your heart. It knows what it wants. Meanwhile, Jungkook found himself walking the city street with Yoongi, his long-time friend. The seer had just finished a late meeting and insisted on catching up. Yoongi, you look distracted more than usual. Jungkook, it's nothing. Youngest, no, don't lie to me. You got that look, the one you had a year ago when you were debating whether to take this job. What is it? Jungkook, I can't say. Youngie studying him then. Let me guess, it's about a person? Jungkook didn't answer. Youngie sighed. Youngie, you are a professor, Jungkook. Your reputation matters. One wrong step and people will tear you apart. Be careful. The warning was sharp, but Jungkook could hear the care behind it. Still, word left him unsettled. The day grew colder. Snow fell higher on the campus ground, and yet inside the young heart, warmth kept spreading. Every glance, every word from Jungkook added another layer of longing he couldn't ignore. One evening, while finishing sketches in the empty studio, he hung off at his desk. The faint sound of footsteps woke him. Jungkook gently Taehyung blinked, shattered to find Jungkook standing there with his coat dropped over an arms. Taehyung, Professor, I must have. He rubbed his eyes, fallen asleep. Jungkook softly, you will catch a cold if you stay like this. Without thinking, Jungkook placed his coat over Taehyung's shoulders. The warmth of it enveloped him instantly. Carrying Jungkook faint scent of soup and pepper, Taehyung frozen. His thought died. Taehyung whispering, thank you. Jungkook quietly, go home soon, alright? He turned to leave, but Taehyung was stopped at him. Taehyung, Professor, why are you always so kind to me? The question hung in the air. Jungkook's back stiffened. Slowly he looked over his shoulders, eyes closed with something Taehyung couldn't read. Jungkook, after a long pause, because some things are impossible to ignore. And with that, he walked away, leaving Taehyung breathless in silence studio, heart pondering with both hope and fear. That night, Taehyung lay awake, replaying those words over and over, impossible to ignore. Did it mean what he thought it means, or was he only imagining? Across the city, Jungkook sat at his desk, head in his hand, his heart as with everything he had held back. Jane's words echo in his mind. Pretending you don't feel it will only make it heavier. For the first time, Jungkook admitted to himself in the dark. He was falling, and there was no stopping it. The snow kept falling outside. The silence between them grew heavier each day, but when they did, something was breaking, something was about to spill over. The weight of silence had become too much to bear, and soon neither of them would be able to hold back. That afternoon in class, Jungkook's lecture carried on as usual, assumed calm, precious, but Taehyung couldn't focus. Every time Jungkook turned towards the board, Taehyung found himself studying the way his shoulders moved, the way his voice echoed in the room. However, Jungkook asked a question about symbolism in his important art. Taehyung had twisted but didn't rise. His thought was not in the lesson anymore. They were caught in a web of feeling he didn't know how to. At the end of the class, as other students packed their bag, Jungkook was stopped at Taehyung. Taehyung, could you stay a moment? Taehyung frozen, heart suddenly racing. Taehyung quietly, yes, professor. The room completed, leaving only two of them. Jungkook stood by his desk, finger pressing the edge of a book. Jungkook, you even seem distracted lately. Is everything okay? Taehyung hesitated. I'm fine. Just a lot of my mind. Jungkook gently, is about your work. You can talk to me. I want to help. Taehyung thought tightened. The words almost slipped out. Then it's not the work, it's you. But he bite them back, lowering his gaze. Instant. Thank you, Professor. I'll be okay. Jungkook studied him for a moment longer, then gave a short nod. But as Taehyung walked out of the room, the edge in both their chests deepened. That evening, Taehyung sat with Jimin and Hobie in the small cafe near campus. Warm light glow against the snow-wind student. Jimin leaning forward. You are doing it again? Thinking too much? Then Hobie gently, you can't keep holding it inside forever. Taehyung softly, what if it doesn't feel the same? What if I ruin everything? Jimin signed expression but fact net Jimin, and what if he does feel the same and you never find out because you are too scared? Hobby, you will deserve to know that love isn't meant to stay hidden. Taehyung looked down at his hand. There words plant courage in his chest, even if it was small and trembling across town. Jungkook said his apartment, but his pen had been still for hours. He finally picked up his phone, thumb hovering before opening his message. A new message in Jin. Jin is still watering your feeling. Jungkook scale. Sharply typed back. Jungkook, it's not that simple, Jin. It never is, but simple or not. Your heart already decided. You are just too afraid to follow it. He tossed the phone aside, pacing the room. Jin was right. The silence was suffocating, and every day he saw Taehyung eyed him a little more with the weight of unspoken words. Jungkook knew he couldn't bear it much longer. The turning point came a week later. Taehyung had left his sketchbook behind in the classroom. After a late evening practice, Jungkook found it while looking up, intending to return it next day. But curiosity tugged at him. The pages were full of drawing stranger, and then he breathed curse. Page after page scratched Jungkook, his profile at the desk, his hand writing on the board, the line of his jaw when he turned to speak. Some were detailed, others hurried, but all were dropped with tenderness that made Jungkook's heart ache. I don't know what to do with these feelings. I don't even know if it was wrong to have them, but every time I see him, my heart feels too big for my chest. I wish I could tell him. Jungkook closed the book, slowly, handed trembling. The silence he had carried for so long cracked open all at once. The next day, Jungkook called Taehyung to his office. Taehyung walked in nervously, eyes wide and clutching his bag. Taehyung, professor, you wanted to see me? Jungkook holding up the sketchbook. You left this. Taehyung face of color. His breath caught. Taehyung, I'm sorry, I didn't. Jungkook softly. Taehyung, I read it. Silence fell heavy and Taehyung's eyes dropped to the floor, shame burning his cheeks. Taehyung whispering, I shouldn't have. We were not supposed to see that. Jungkook set the sketchbook down gently. Jungkook, do you think you are the only one who been holding back? Taehyung had snapped it up, eyes widening with shock. Jungkook looking at him with raw honesty. The wall he had built finally fallen back. Jungkook, I will try to burn it, try to tell myself it was wrong, but every day it grows stronger. Every time you speak, every time you smile, I can't eat no egg anymore. Taehyung lip parted, breath trembling. Taehyung, you feel the same? Jungkook nodded slowly. Yes. More than I can put into words. The air between them, electric, thick, everything they had held back. They hung. I thought I was alone. Jungkook softly, you never. For a long moment, neither moved. Then Jungkook lifted a hand, hesitating before pressing his finger against Taehyung's cheeks. Taehyung leaned into the touch, closing his eyes as if he had been waiting for all this long. Later that evening, they walked together through the campus side by side for the first time without a fear. Taehyung quietly, so what happened now? Jungkook smiled faintly. Now we stop pretending. Whenever comes, we all face it together. Taehyung looked at him, eyes full of trust and warmth, and slipped his head into Jungkook. Jungkook gripped tightened gently, their footsteps leaving twin trail in snow. The silence between them was gone, replaced by steady warmth that filled every corner of their heart. For the first time, it felt easy to breathe. In the week that followed, their friend noticed the change. Jimin and Hobie caused Taehyung smiling more later than he had in a month. Jin raising an eyebrow knowingly when Jungkook looked less burned, more at peace. Even Yoongi thought storm softened when he saw the quiet joy between them and thought the world around them was still full of rule and worry. Inside their small universe, there was only this truth. They had chosen love, love had chosen them back. Snow burned their boots as Taehyung and Jungkook walked side by side, finger intertwined. The lamp along the path glowed golden against the white ground, painting everything soft. For the first time, Taehyung was not afraid of being seen. He glanced at Jungkook, smiled, tugged in at his lips. Taehyung, it feels strange. Jungkook tattled his head. What does? Taehyung, holding your hand out here like the world could notice any second. Jungkook squeezes his hand gently. Let them notice. I don't care anymore. The words warmed Taehyung more than the scarf around. The next day, Taehyung sat in the cafe with Jimin and Hobie again. This time with the scarf so brightly, neatly spilled out him. He strained his drink, smiled to himself. Jimin, okay, spill it. Something happened. Hobie leaned forward. He confessed, didn't he? Taehyung blushing, whispering, we confessed to each other. The table, Jimin, the table dramatically while Hobie covered his mouth, eyes wide with delight. Jimin, finally, do you know how long we were waiting for this? Hobby teasing, we should throw a celebration. Taehyung laughed, cheek burning, but his heart slowed for the first time. He was not hiding from his friend. Meanwhile, in Jungkook's office, Jin strolled in with knocking as usual. Jin is smirking. You look lighter. Did you finally do it? Jungkook pretending to focus on paper. Do what? Jin confessed. Stop. Stop pretending all of it. Jungkook paused, then let out a small laugh, shaking his head. Jungkook, yes. I told him, Jin softly with pride. Good. You deserve this, Jungkook. Before Jungkook could answer, his phone buzzed with a message from Yoongi. Heard from Jin, be careful, but if he make you happy, I won't stop you. Jungkook stared at the screen for a long time. A week later, Taehyung to his home for dinner with his parents. The idea made Jungkook nervous, but Taehyung hopefully eyes being impossible to refuse. At the dinner table, Taehyung's mother served warm dishes while his father watched Jungkook careful. Father, so you are Taehyung's professor? Jungkook respectfully, yes sir, but I hope you can see me as more than that. Taehyung squeezes Jungkook's hand under the table, giving him warmth. Mother smiled gently. We've never seen Taehyung this happy before. If you are the reason, then you are welcome here. Relief was over Jungkook. Taehyung blimmed cheeks faintly with joy. The weekend, their small circle of friends gathering at Jin's apartment. Jimin and Hobie were practically dancing with excitement while Jin played honest. The young leaned back with faint smile. Jimin teasing, so when it's Taehyung flushed Jimin, Hobie, we are just saying you two are glowing. Jimin raising his glass. To new beginnings, Yoongi nodded to being brave enough to follow your heart. Jungkook made Taehyung's eyes cross the room. In that moment, surrounded by laughter and warmth, it felt like they had built a small family of their own. Later that night, after everyone had left, Taehyung and Jungkook walked back through the quiet street. Snow had stopped falling, leaving the night clear and starry. Taehyung softly, do you ever regret it? But we crossed the line. Jungkook stopped and turned to face him. No, not once. Not only things I regret is waiting this long. Taehyung eyes swimming in the streetlight. Jungkook reached for his hand, then pulled him into a gentle embrace. Jungkook, I don't care about the rule. I don't care about the risk. You warmed everything, Taehyung. Taehyung rested his hand against Jungkook's chest, leaning to the steady rhythm of his heart. Taehyung whispering, and you're my home. The semester rolled on. Rumors occasionally drifted, whispering in hallway, but neither of them let it shake them anymore. Their friend stood by them, their parents accepted them, and the quiet strength of their love held steady. One last day of winter, as the snow finally melted into spring, Taehyung and Jungkook walked out the blooming campus hand in hand. Students held a class that sank in their seats, and a warning emerged from them. Time felt gentle, slow, infinite. Jungkook smiled. Spring suit you, Taehyung. So does love. Jungkook chuckled softly, pressing a kiss to the back of Taehyung's hand as they walked for once. There was no walls between them, no fears, no hesitation, just love steadying, bright and there to keep.